I decided to take a walk today without my camera and long lens, without my backpack, without my binoculars, and without my sketch pad, just to see what I could see and observe, sort of going really primitive. And I just stumbled on this big, huge bullfrog. And of course I was looking for the black-crowned night herons, which like to hang out at these little head gates where the water spills through, and this is would be quite a delicacy, quite a meal for a black-crowned night heron, and I don't think they'd hesitate to try to get it. But this isn't something they could get down in one gulp, or I think you actually could get it down in one gulp, now that I realize how they can extend their gullet and swallow things pretty large. But anyway, I'll just see what I can see, just walking out here with no camera, no sketch pad, no notepad, nothing, just my camera, my phone camera. It's a cool June day, early in June 4th, I think. I'm not cool enough that I still have my jacket on. And I'm walking down this canal on the non-vehicle side, the non-road side, just to see if I can't stir up some American bitter that sometimes hang out in here, that are the most elusive of the wading birds. But this is you see the little white coming out of the salt grass. That's the alkalinity in the soil. And then over here you see habitat for bittern, and of course white-faced ibis, etc. And beautiful day, no bugs to pester you, and a few clouds and a blue sky. Here comes a great egret. First one I've seen this year, I believe. Heading out across. Didn't even know I was here. There's a little song sparrow right there in the middle of the frame. And of course I've got red-winged blackbirds fluttering about. They're kind of bold, because, see if I can catch one in flight. They're kind of bold because of course they're nesting, and they might even try to dive bomb me. See if I can get this one flying. Well, you can see them in the distance there. Here he comes. Wow, pretty good. Pretty good for a phone. And then he lands over here. Look how heavy and full and thick the heads of this canary grass is. This is the new canary grass, and I mean, things on the marsh grow so fast. This grass is now, you know, maybe about 3.5 feet tall. Well, it'll be maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks, it will grow another 2 or 3 feet. I mean, it'll be up around 7, 8 feet before it's done. So, I mean, pretty amazing stuff, that canary grass. This is a typical marsh scene. And as I walk along, cinnamon teal, which are very plentiful in this area, and gadwall keep flying up and flying off, and they're not really that spooked. It's not hunting season, it's nesting season. And I see off in the distance there, maybe I can zoom in, I see, which adds to, like, usually I see about 30 different species every time I go out. I don't even really count, but you can see right out in the middle there, in the distance, you can tell by the blue bill and the carriage that is a, oh, I had a mental block about what it is. It's a Oh, I'll think of it. See it out in the middle there. So the duck's name I was trying to think of was Ruddy Duck. I get a mental block on that name for some reason. I mean, it's familiar as my own face to me, but I just get a block on the name. So I had to look it up on my phone, which is a convenience that people haven't had throughout the ages. You forget something, it's just forgotten. But I can see little marsh wrens flying around out there, and of course you can hear all the chattering of the marsh wrens, and you hear the killdeer scolding me, and you got yellow-headed blackbirds and red-winged blackbirds interspersed everywhere, and you can hear their sounds. Just a thought I had. You don't, on any given day, you don't see anywhere near all the wildlife that's out here, particularly the bird life, but any wildlife, very seldom see anywhere near all the wildlife because it's so huge and so spread out, and there's ponds everywhere, and there's only so many roads and trails to walk on. But if you were a young man and this wasn't didn't have all kinds of rules, state overseen state biologists, and it was just primitive land, and you had some wading boots and stuff, and you just went walking out across it, and you were young and vigorous enough that you could push your way through everything and just keep going without even bothering like I was when I was young, you'd sure stir up a lot of stuff. Going from one end, just going as just beelining across all this marsh with wading boots. And I'm sure that's what they did in the first biologists and the first explorers. They just went trudging out across it. So as we look at these great horned owls in this tree here, I just want to close with this thought, following up on that trudging straight across a marsh in wading boots. One of my favorite movies is The New World, and it's a very visual movie. And one of the scenes has Colin Farrell, who plays Captain John Smith, trudging across the primitive, primal coastal marshes of Virginia in 1603 or whenever. And he's got full body armor, etc. And he doesn't even know where he is or where he's going. Well, that's kind of, I kind of like this area for that, because it's still primitive in many ways. I mean, you know, you can imagine just trudging across 6 foot, 7 foot high tules and marshes and swamps, and burying yourself in them and not seeing a sign of civilization. Of course, I say all this while I'm filming with my smartphone, sort of like Star Trek
landing on a primitive planet, but they've got their whatever they tasers or whatever they, not tasers, but their little smartphones that could beam them up to the mothership. But we've got all this modern stuff, but we could still immerse ourselves in the primitive.